Last time on the Blondies MX5 World Tour.
The lights are off and away they go. And it's a terrible start by Richard Ekholm. He may get swallowed up. He may fall the fourth before the first turn. This is going to give Koemans a bit of space. No one has contact.
We have a spin up.
Trevor Mack has gone around. His race has gone from bad to worse. Rotary is clear of Drowness, but he's going to leave him room on the outside. Now he's not clear. Drowness has a better run. Very close there. The two red and black cars collide and they're both off. Multiple cars involved, and the big winner out of it is now Yarmin, who is up into 7th place.
Yeah, and Yuri Rato actually just sent a message through the racing chat asking, follow me. I think he wants to stay single file so those guys can catch Sean Koeman.
It's going to be interesting seeing what that gap is now, though. Rato getting up to speed. The gap has increased. It's already over 4 seconds. It's already over 5 seconds. So I believe Koeman's made a gain on that first stop.
He's being followed quite closely now by Jalfreitas as the two of them go side by side going into that corner, and Jalfreitas takes the position from Simon Palmer, Sam. If I were Dexter, I'd give up that place to him for now because there's still a lot of minutes to go. As Richard Ekholm goes to the inside and takes the place, and Dexter almost spins the car, manages to catch it, but he's lost quite a bit of time now on Richard Ekholm.
Oh, and there's a collision over in turn 1. I believe Jonathan Keir and our new driver Harley Lewis were involved in an incident. It looks like they've both gotten going again. They're going to go about 110 miles an hour here. They're going to have to slow down to much slower than that in this first corner. It's a left-hander. Yarmin has the inside. McAleer squeezes him to the wall. A very exciting battle here for 8th place. Well, now 7th as Johnson has been in. Yarmin still out in front in the green car. McAleer, the Scottish driver, looking on the outside. Yarmin getting up on that curve, and McAleer will hold on to the position for now. Great racing by those two.
Yarmin now going in for the draft and looking to the inside. So he's gonna get set up for turn 1. Oh!
McAleer blew up.
McAleer blew his engine.
Yeah, he was 2 laps shy from the finish. What a disappointing race for Sam McAleer after having a really good run in the top 5.
The battle is certainly on here between Jay Yanis and Dexter Castro.
Yeah, both those drivers actually skimmed the wall in turn 1, which means they're both pushing extremely hard. Janis decides not to make a move going into the hairpin. These guys are actually really close. Actually, Castro takes the hairpin too hard and goes off, letting Janis by.
Car bouncing, right front wheel going up in the air a little bit as they go through the final bumpy turn, and across the line, Jean Koemans wins at Sebring and then spins his car for the heck of it as he crosses the line. Yeah, Rato finishes in 2nd. Freeless is going to get 3rd. Richard Ekholm, 4th place. Very nice finish from him. I'm sure he would have wanted more. Simon Palmer going to come across the line in 5th.
For 4 previous seasons, the field sizes have grown larger. For 4 previous seasons, the competition has grown tougher. For a handful of drivers, the Season 5 championship is there for the taking. For most everyone else, it will be as elusive to grasp as a feather in the breeze. This is the Blondies MX5 World Tour. Organized by the Quality Racing Syndicate. Welcome to Road Atlanta, host to round 13 of the Blondies MX5 World Tour, and we'll bring it all to you live on the global Sim Racing channel. I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is the unflappable Ayrton Ellis. Thanks for joining us, Ayrton.
Hey Joe, great to be here.
Absolutely. Down in the trenches, we have our trustworthy pit reporter, Richard Losper. Thanks for coming, Richard.
Hi Joe, good evening everybody. Glad to be here.
And of course, alongside him, we have Stefan Overgaard, also helping with the pit reporting. Thanks for coming along, Stefan.
No problem, Joe. Looking forward to this one.
Me too. And of course, behind it all, we have working the cameras, Giancarlo Lenzi. All right. Road Atlanta is known for being the home of Petit Le Mans, and as well for its distinctive red clay dirt. But today's race takes place not on the famous full circuit where the big boys run. Instead, we're on the club course today. For more information for that, I'm going to hand it over to Ayrton.
Thanks, Joe. Today on the club course, it's very different from the what we usually see in the full course. It has 14 corners on a 1.8 mile circuit, so a lot shorter, but also the majority of the corners are chicanes, which a lot of drivers find very difficult. So we should see a lot of left-to-right turns, especially in the first half of the track, and that's very difficult for the drivers, especially to stay consistent and not get cut course or go off track. And we're running 30 laps, which should be about a long race. It's about a 1 minute 25 second lap time, so I have a feeling that this race will be quite chaotic and difficult for the drivers to keep in pace.
Yeah, I remember us talking before the broadcast. There was mention that this is going to be similar to Lime Rock Chicane, and that it's going to catch a lot of guys out. But I want to hop over to the championship, and I think Richard has some information on how that's going. Obviously, I believe Jan Koemans is running away with it. Is that so, Richard?
That's correct, Joe. At the moment, Jan Koemans is in first place. I don't think he's relinquished first place at all, perhaps right at the beginning, but since then he has just run away with it, as you said. He's on 1,057 points. Second place is being held down by Amjad Yaman, the doctor. He's on 880 points. However, he's 177 points adrift of Jan Koemans, which means that he has not a lot of chance of catching up. In third place, we have João Freitas on 877 points. And the second and third place is quite close, so João could still challenge Amjad for the second place. In fourth place, Guilherme Rato on 868 points. On 835 points, we have Arthur Chan, and they are followed by Yer Janis on 788 points. In seventh place, Marcus Lambert, who's slowly crept up the leaderboard, and he is on 750 points. And in eighth place, Joe, we have Stefan Morien, who has quietly been doing his thing as well. He's on 687 points. In ninth place, we have Chuck Johnson on 677. And rounding out the top 10, we have Benjamin Lanouette, who also has come quite good in the latter part of this championship, Joe.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the guys who are showing their consistency have been kind of creeping their way up slowly but surely. And also, it definitely looks like that second place is very hotly contested, so this championship is not over by any stretch of the imagination. We also have a bit of a track guide to take you around this very twisty, very tight circuit. So we're going to hop in the MX-5 and take you on a lap around the club circuit of Road Atlanta. Alright, let's take a lap around Road Atlanta's club circuit. Coming across the start-finish line on the front straightaway, this first turn can be a passing zone possibly, but it's very crazy to try it just because it's only a lift. You'll see, stay in fifth gear and keep as much momentum as you can on the exit because this hill is gonna just cut into your speed. Now, coming up to the chicane, it's basically like someone put a slalom in the middle of this circuit. Look at this, right, left, right, and then another left, and then back on the gas up to fourth, and then brake once again, back down to second, come through another one of these tight little chicanes, and then get back on the gas as soon as you can, because this is dumping you onto the longest portion where you're going to have your foot to the floor on this back straightaway. You see you cut through the shortcut onto the back stretch here. You're not doing the full course, obviously. That's going to lead you to the only really good passing zone on this circuit, which is the chicane at the end of the back straightaway here. You want to get the car to the right side, look for that 100-yard marker, and then brake. Keep it tied in, accelerate for a little bit, and then brake at the apex of the next corner. Keep it tight around. This is an extremely tight corner, one of the tightest in iRacing. Get it to the left side as much as you can. It's going to get a little loose on the exit like mine did. And then you come up to the final corner here. Now, even though you want to carry your momentum through here, don't go too fast through it. Don't get too much of the grass on the exit, because you can very easily spin it into that inside wall. And you come across the start-finish line, finishing your lap around Road Atlanta's club circuit. I can say one thing: I am glad I'm not racing in this race today, because I don't think I'm really a fan of this course after having to put those laps in. But you know, with the mention of those tight little fiddly chicanes, Ayrton, it sounds like there's not going to be many passing opportunities that these guys are going to find throughout this race, unless someone makes a mistake in front of them.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think this race is going to be full of mistakes, kind of similar to Lime Rock Chicane like we were talking about before. A few of these drivers, especially young Cummins, chicanes has proven to be his weak point, and definitely its consistency is under threat. And I think João Freitas has a chance at making another stamp on this race. He has the speed in practice so far, and his consistency looked good in previous races, so he may have to keep Jan on his toes for this race.
Yeah, and you know, we'd like to see a nice, hotly contested race up at the front. The last few seem to have been just Cummins kind of running away with things. But speaking of that, we've seen a new guy coming around that has really been putting the pressure on him, Richard. Richard Ekholm has kind of been up there in speed, just hasn't quite got the strategy down, it seems.
Yes, Richard Ekholm certainly has speed. He has matched it with Jan Cummins on a number of tracks, but he's struggling with, at the moment on this track. As I watch him just now, he's just come to a stop at the top of that hill. He seems to have a bit of a problem with that section of the course there, Joe.
So he might not be able to threaten as much today. I'm seeing he's currently scored third in qualifying, so he's got a bit of the speed, but he's going to have to get that consistency down. As Ayrton said, that's going to be really key today. Some other things worth noting is Arthur Chan and Tom Rachi, two of our usual front runners, aren't going to be around anymore. Apparently they have real-life obligations that are going to keep them from the rest of the season. So unfortunately, Arthur and Tom will not be able to move themselves any farther up in the championship. There are other championships, though, other than regular scoring. Ayrton, it looks like Stefan Morien's been doing a pretty good job over the course of this season in the Ironman.
Yeah, Stefan's one of the few drivers who has competed in every single race so far. I think the others are, I think Benjamin Lanouette is one of them as well. And that's also like a great thing to have a certificate for, not just for the fast guys, but for guys who can just stay in the top 10, stay on the lead lap, and stay out of trouble for the majority of the races. And Stefan's consistency is proven to be really good in this series.
I think Joseph Arrow is one of those guys that also has been at every round, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
I'll have to go look, but I think so. You're right.
But yeah, and for those not familiar with the Ironman is, basically it's most miles run. So it's not always the winner in points because of you know, accidents happening and whatnot. It really rewards those guys who can just rifle laps off, keep the mistakes out of the way, and continue to finish on the lead lap, and also show up every week. Let's see, what else? What other stories do we have? The pit entry is a bit of an odd one. It's not the usual pit entry for here. It's on the outside instead of the inside of the course like you usually see it here at Road Atlanta. And Ayrton, that's, from what I understand, that could catch a few guys out as if they're in the middle of traffic trying to get into the pits.
Yeah, definitely the pit entry and pit exit are both very dangerous on short courses overall, but especially this one. And as Sam McAleer actually said before qualifying, that during qualifying he asked people to be safe and exiting pits. So it's dangerous, and especially on the fast corner of turn 1, where it's quite blind. If you don't see someone on your left entering, it just looks like they're off the track. So guys have to be careful of that, especially with this pit stop that's going to be in this race.
Now, Richard, you spoke in the championship how Yaman is kind of out of contention anymore unless something drastic happens. He seems to have had a bit of a dip in form later on in the season. He really impressed us early on and earned his nickname through all his strategy. But the Doctor is not in, it seems, in the last few races.
Well said there, Joe. Yes, he's clung on to his second position in the championship. He's now hotly followed by João Freitas on, there's just 3 points difference between the two of them. In this race, he is slightly faster than João Freitas in the qualifying at the moment. So I think it'll be interesting to watch the two of them. Whoever finishes ahead will probably take over the second place. If it's Amjad, he'll retain the second place, but if it's Yao, I think he may well take over second place, Joe.
Yeah, and Yao has had a lot of speed throughout the season, so I think he's got a good chance of doing that. Now, I'm looking out, because we still have a few minutes left, and I see that Amjad is actually not on the track, so maybe we can get him in to talk to him just briefly. Let's drag him in, see if he's up for a chat. Amjad, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Amjad, we were just talking about your championship hopes, and it seems like the last few races, it's kind of been slowly slipping out of your grasp.
Yeah. These guys are getting faster, and yeah, Silverstone killed me, but all I can do is just drive my butt off and see what happens.
This track, it looks like it's gonna really catch a few people out with those tricky chicanes. Do you think maybe you can rely on some consistency to get a good result today?
That's what I'm banking on. I mean, that's the only way I'm gonna end up at the front. And thankfully, I got a good qualifying time, so it should be good.
Yeah, you're showing in fourth right now. We haven't talked much about the pit strategy yet today. What is that looking like for you? Or are you willing to reveal anything about how you're going to go about it?
Just playing it by ear. I mean, there's a large pit window today. Anywhere between like laps 8 to 20 something. So it's just basically taking advantage of what's available.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck today.
Hey, thank you.
That was Amjad Yaman talking to us there. We've got about 30 seconds left in qualifying, so we're almost done. Guys, do you want to do some quick picks?
Joe, second place at the moment on the qualifying board is Sam McAleer. Now, Sam has not shown up in the first 5 in many of the races in qualifying, so he's looking good today. But the pick of the day has to be, I believe, João Freitas.
All right, and qualifying is just finished. We're going to let those hot laps finish. Ayrton, who's your pick real quick?
I think I'm going to be rooting for Amjad Yaman. I would root for João Freitas, but I've been hearing that his connection issues have been very unreliable at the moment, and a lot of drivers recently have been caught out by connection issues, like Guillermo Rato, who at Silverstone just lost connection at the grid.
Stefan, who are you rooting for?
Well, I'll go with Jan Koemans then. We've seen he had problems with the chicanes earlier in the line-off, but let's see if he can get his act together with this one.
Well, Ayrton took my pick because I was going to go with Yaman, but since no one else has called him, and I think he could be a bit of a dark horse, I'm going to go with Ekholm, since maybe he could get his demons under control today. Let's check. I'm going to check with my director here, see if we're ready for qualifying to call out the results on that. All right, we got a little bit time left to go on that, so we'll give that just a little bit longer. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one today, guys. Absolutely. Hopefully, we'll see a bit of a mix-up compared to the previous few races where things seem to be a little processional towards the end, and these chicanes will keep these guys on their toes. I'm seeing some chat going in here. Yeah, the connection problems. It seems to be talk amongst most of the guys. I'm getting word that Dexter has not put in a qualifying time. Is that correct?
That is correct, Joe. I do not see him in the qualifying list at all.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that's intentional or not.
I was watching Dexter for the majority of the session. It looks like he's really struggling, and I know Dexter personally, and this is one of the few tracks that he just really struggles on. Chicanes aren't his thing, and he struggled at Lime Rock Chicane as well. So hopefully he can do another run from the back like at Sebring.
Yeah, he was doing pretty good and had a really good battle at the end, but just couldn't come out on top. But they're gridding up now, so let's go through the grid real quick here. And first, we've got Jan Koemans. Second up is Sam McAleer, less than a tenth behind Jan with a 123.7. Richard Ekholm has third. Amjad Yaman is the outside of row 2 and fourth. Guillermo Rato is in fifth. And then Yao Freitas is in sixth, Richard.
That's correct. And in seventh place, we have Trevor Mack, who's followed by Marcus Lambert, and then Jer Yanis in ninth place. 10th place, Benjamin Lanouette. Oscar Nieto is in 11th place, and Jim A. Boland in 12th place. Ayrton?
And then we have Eric Garcia in 13th, Yannick Kemp in 14th, Harley Lewis in 15th, Chuck Johnson in 16th, Joseph Arrow in 17th, and Tori Tesla in 18th.
Then in 19th, it's Arcadius Tederix. 20th is David Schaefer. 21st is Andre Hagheim, who we haven't seen a lot of in the series so far. 22nd is Jeremy Naylor. 23rd is Matthias Soini. 24th is Mikael Gustafsson. Then 25th, it's Lowell Jewell. 26th is Bill Zahn with the last of the qualifying times. Stefan Moriane is 27th. Dexter Castro is 28th. 29th is Simon Ayres. 30th is Isaac Martin. And then 31st and very last is Andy Morgan. And that's our grid for today. Everyone's getting lined up on the start-finish line right now. Kind of getting their cars warmed up, checking all the knobs and buttons, make sure everything's in line, and just waiting for the green lights to come up here for a second. Should be going anytime now. And it looks like the lights are coming up. I hear them revving the cars now. And there's the green flag. They're off at Road Atlanta's club circuit. Jan Koemans leads them away. Looks like Sam McAleer has got a bad start. He's losing touch already. Richard Ekholm is looking on the inside. Amjad Yaman is getting bottled up behind those guys as they head in the first corner, which is a very fast right-hander. Let's see if they keep it clean. Everybody's kind of just ciphering through right now. This chicane is going to be the real test here, Ayrton.
Yeah, I'm looking through it now. Looks like everyone going to single file. Don't see any too wide action in the first lap. I hear some contact. Not sure who that is.
And it looks like David Schaefer had a problem. He's going slowly backwards. I thought I saw someone else had an off somewhere. Someone went too wide through that chicane. But it looks like everyone's cleaning through. Oh, and I see Marcus Lambert going very slow on the circuit. I'm not sure what happened to him there.
Well, currently Jan Koemans is leading them. I see a pass by Amjad Yaman. He's just passed Richard Ekholm. Richard Ekholm is on the brakes, so something's going on there, Joe. Does anybody know what's happened to Richard?
He must have damage or something. He's actually stopping on the course, so he's going backwards in a hurry. Oh, I'm sorry. He must have had a slowdown. So he's getting started going again. I'm pretty sure that was a slowdown for Richard Ekholm. Not the way he wanted to start it, because now he's going to be back in the thick of the pack. It looks like he is at least down 10 or 12 spots. Meanwhile, up front, let's see what it's looking like back up there, because Jan Koemans is stretching that gap between himself and Sam McAleer. Sam is probably going to want a good finish. He's been up there. I think he's got a couple podiums lately, but still not a win yet in this series, if I understand correctly, Ayrton.
Yep, not this season. He is our Season 3 champion, but just hasn't been able to make a mark in Season 5, so unfortunate for him. Actually, he's going off right now in that first chicane. And Guillermo Rato, as well as Amjad Yaman, shoots by, and João Freitas goes by as well.
And bad luck for Sam there. He's going to have to get that cleaned up. And I'm being told that it was Benjamin Lanouette that had a slowdown as well. Ekholm is all the way down to 12th currently, and he is hunting Yannick Alexander Kemp very hotly. In fact, oh, he touches on the back straightaway. He gets loose. He gets in the grass, comes back on, but he's losing time as they come down the back straightaway.
And currently, Jan Koemans is leading by quite a large margin, but Amjad Yaman is now in second place, so that's good for Amjad, Joe.
Yeah, Amjad is playing out his strategy already, and it's only lap 2. He's been gaining 2. Let's see, yeah, that's 2 spots up for him in only 2 laps. Behind him, though, is João Freitas, and João is usually looking handy, not so today, according to his speed. He's got Sam McAleer behind him currently, not too far behind, not a threat at the moment, but that group is 2, 3, 4 all right together right now, Ayrton.
There's a crash at the
Yep,
bridge here.
it looks like a really close battle for second. Jan Koeman has been able to get a lead already from the mistakes of the other drivers.
And I'm looking at Sam and Yao Freitas, and Sam is closing right up on the back under braking there into that chicane. Getting close. This second part is very tough. This is very blind through here. You're going to see, I think, a lot of guys get caught out under braking through there. And it looks like coming onto this backstretch portion, Sam's probably going to have the draft, Richard.
Yes, and just looking at Jan Koeman, he's looking very impressive at the moment, leading by a very, very large margin. But looking at Sam McAleer, yes, he is in a train there, led by Amjad Yaman, Yao Freitas, and then Sam as they come down the straightaway going into the chicane at the bottom of the hill there, and they go into this really funny chicane once again, which is going virtually 180 degrees, and then they've got to do a right turn and go down that second section there, which goes on to turn 1, not the usual turn 1 that we used to, Joe.
Yeah, and Yao Freitas took a look on the inside of Amjad Yaman for second place there. I thought at first he was going defensive from McAleer, but he took a peek and couldn't quite pull it off. Yeah, that little 180-degree turn, it's going to be single file. I don't think you're going to see anybody be able to pull anything through there. I thought I saw someone coming out of the pits, though, there. Stefan, do you have any news on that front?
Yeah, we had a crash under the bridge a few laps back. I think it was Kemp who got into, who was it? Didn't quite get it, but they took some damage and spun around.
All right, thanks for that. You'll have to keep us informed as you get new information on that, Stefan. Meanwhile, I'm looking down through the field to see if we can find ourselves a good battle, and I see it looks like Jared Janis is hunting down Jim A. Boland right now, Ayrton.
Yep, Jared Janis actually had a slowdown early on and got freight trained by a group of drivers, including Jim Boland, Richard Ekholm, and Joseph Vero. He's managed to get back onto Jim Boland's bumper, but Richard Ekholm already shooting away. He and Jan Koeman are the only drivers in the 23s at the moment.
And they're going side by side into the chicane on the back straightaway. It looks like Janis has got it cleanly as they come into this little 180-degree fiddly turn. So good stuff on Janis trying to make his way back up. He's usually one of the top drivers, you know, top 8, top 5 around that realm. So he's definitely going to want to work his way back through there. Let's see if we can find another battle going on. I see that Marcus Lambert's kind of trying to work his way back up through. He's scored an 11th right now. He got slowed down. He's another guy that has used his consistency to his advantage, Richard.
Yeah, and just a quick note on some pit stops, Joe. We had Oscar Nieto and Harley Lewis making very, very early pit stops, so they must have had some problems out on the track and had to pit pretty early. But yeah, looking back through there, Guillermo Rato is just one that I'm looking at the moment, and he's got a bit of work to do. Currently listed in 5th place on the board, so I want to watch him to see how he fares today, Joe.
I have some bad news for Ayrton and his pick. Amjad Yaman seems to have lost connection because I don't see him on the track, so that's going to slot Yao Freitas up into 2nd, and Sam McAleer is going to be up into 3rd now.
Actually, I just looked at the replay. Amjad Yaman actually spun around one of the chicanes and hit the wall and put his car into the air, and I think he's out of this race.
Oh, that's not the result he wanted. I think this is going to be a boon for Yao Freitas, though. With him in 2nd place, this actually should... I'm pretty sure, yeah, with only 3 points difference between them right now, this is going to give Yao Freitas 2nd place in the championship. But currently, that's not a hot battle out on track at the moment, so let's find ourselves something interesting to look at as we move down through the field. And they're actually pretty spread out as I'm searching. I do see way back down here in 19th, 20th, and 21st, Jeremy Naylor has got Simon Ayres and Mikael Gustafsson pretty close to them. In fact, those 3 are all pretty close together at the moment as they head across the start-finish line.
Yeah, and just a note, it looks like Yao Freitas has taken 2nd place from Sam McAleer, and it looks like Guillermo Rato is following Sam McAleer. So these guys, it seems a lot of people are struggling here. Consistency is going to be the thing that wins this race today. And at the moment, Jan Koemans has that consistency, Joe.
I'm getting a message from Amjad Yaman. He's telling us that his computer trolled him and his inputs were stuck wide open, so that was not driver error, apparently. Oh, and I'm seeing Benjamin Lanawet had some sort of mistake coming through the chicane. He's been overtaken by Jeremy Naylor and is now going to be under threat from Simon Ayres coming onto the back straightaway, Ayrton.
Yeah, Benjamin has just kept on getting slowdown penalties and having trouble with these chicanes. He, like Dexter, is really struggling on this track.
Speaking of Dexter, what is his progress looking like? I'm seeing him scored in 15th and currently chasing down Tori Tesla through the latter stages of this circuit.
Yeah, he's slowly been working himself up. Not a huge stamp like at Sebring, where he pretty much passed 10 cars in the first few laps or so. But, yeah, he's slowly working himself up. Jan Koemans still has a huge lead now, 9 seconds over João Freitas, who now has a small gap from Sam McAleer.
Dexter's been kind of taking the place of Arthur Chan in the latter stages of this season. He's had some very bad luck, some bad incidents in many series that we've seen him. But between Sebring and the way that he really charged through, and 15th after starting, what was it, like 24th or so, that's nothing to scoff at by lap 7. I think he's making very steady progress, and it looks like he's probably going to get Tori Tesla this time by, unless he makes a mistake. So it seems like he's starting to get some of his demons out of the way, lessening his mistakes and getting himself out of bad situations finally, Ayrton.
Yeah, he's slowly improving, figuring out. I actually think that when he doesn't qualify or can't get a lap, and he actually does better in the races than he does. Dexter Castro's definitely a good driver at coming up through the pack.
Pulling himself a bit of a Carl Williamson. So good on him. Let's check out back at the front, though. Jan Koemans currently got a lead of 9 seconds as we are 8 laps in around this circuit in a 30-lap race. And he is trying to get by some lap traffic. Yannick Kemp. Now that's something that I haven't really considered yet so far on this broadcast, is the way traffic is going to come into play. With the way these chicanes are, there's only a few spots really that you can get out of the way. So do you think that, Richard, do you think traffic is going to be, the way that you navigate traffic, is that going to be come into play today?
Oh, definitely. These guys, the fast guys, are going to be catching the slower guys very, very quickly, because this track is quite short. So you're going to find people like Jan Koemans, Sam McAleer, João Freitas getting mixed up with lap traffic. And that might give someone a chance to do an overtaking move. Guys, I've been watching 5th place. Now, this is Trevor Mack, who's running in 5th place. We've seen him once or twice in races. He is a handy driver, nice and fast, and he's kind of following the short train from 2nd to 5th, which is João Freitas, then Sam McAleer, Guilherme Rato, and then Trevor Mack. These 4, in my opinion, have the best chance of swapping positions and making progress in this race, Joe.
Yeah, and Sam McAleer, I've noticed, has just kind of been steadily holding behind João Freitas. I'm really curious to know if maybe he doesn't quite have the race pace of João, or if he's playing a patient game here, or what he's doing, because he's not really been making any inroads. He's just holding about the same gap for a couple laps now. And that's about, what looks like a 1.5 seconds or a second back or so. Actually, less than a second. So the draft either isn't helping him, or he's just kind of biding his time, maybe waiting for pit stops to jump him instead of making a wild dash. What are your thoughts on the situation, Ayrton?
Yeah, I think it would be smart if Sam tries to stay behind João. Obviously, in practice, João was faster. Sam managed to get a better qualifying time. So I think Sam's choice to just stay behind João might be the best, especially knowing João's speed and consistency in this series.
Now, Stefan, I see that we're on lap 9, and Amjad mentioned that lap 8 was about the opening of the pit window. Have we seen anybody head in through?
Not for any of the regular pit stops yet, so I would expect about a start from level 11 or something like that.
So still waiting on guys to come in. I'm getting word that Harley Lewis has retired due to his early crash with Yannick Kemp. So Harley Lewis has not been having a good time. I believe this is only his 2nd race, and I think he had a bit of an accident at Sebring as well. So learning that this is a very rough and tumble series. In the meantime, let's check down and see if we can find ourselves a nice battle somewhere in the field. I see that Eric Garcia is very close to Chuck Johnson and Arcadius Tedderix, and that is for 10th, 11th, and 12th, Richard.
And there comes our first pit
That
stop
is
with
correct.
Dexter
Sorry,
Castro.
go ahead, Stefan.
Dexter Castro coming into the pits now.
Okay, Dexter Castro is in the pits. Just to get back to this little battle that's happening here, we've got Eric Garcia, Chuck Johnson, and Arcadius Tedderix. They are in a small train. It looks like Arcadius may be in a position to challenge for that position, but at the moment they're still single file, Joe.
Now, I think the camera did get it, but Eric made a bad exit out of that last chicane, and that meant Chuck got a much better exit, and he is now up beside him even before this next chicane coming up, and Arcadius is following him to the inside. This could be 2 positions lost for Eric. Let's see if he's good enough under braking to hold them off. He's already well behind Chuck, and now Arcadius has got his nose stuck in, and it is 2 positions lost for Eric Garcia. That just goes to show you how important it is to lessen your mistakes around this circuit, especially on corner exits. And he's pulling up right behind Arcadius, but he's not going to be able to get by him in this slow little corner. So Eric in that Blondies paint scheme has slipped down to 12th position.
Yes, that's correct. And in fact, Joseph Aero is starting to creep up on Eric Garcia as well. So he could be under pressure from Joseph in a little while. Not sure what else is happening around the track. I think the Arcadius Tedderix, Eric Garcia, and that little battle that we've been watching is about the best thing happening at the moment, Joe.
Yes, and you know, Ayrton with Dexter pitting very early on, we've seen in the past that guys like Cummins have employed strategies where they stay out late to try and stay out of traffic and get themselves some clear air. With traffic being so much, you know, so prominent here with this being such a short circuit, do you think the early pit stops are the way to go like Dexter's done, or do you think these guys should wait till late?
I actually think early pit stops may be a way to go. If you stay out very late, you have especially with drivers, especially Jan Cummins or João Freitas, you have the trouble of hitting slower lap traffic that are coming out of the pits in front of you. Dexter's smart in coming out in the pack of drivers that are similar to his speed, or he's just a little faster than. So I think that may be a little easier for him. And he doesn't have much traffic right now. He's right behind Simon Ayres and a little faster than one of those roadster drivers. But I also noticed that Jim A. Bolin from 9th place also pitted as well last lap.
So Jim also using early strategy as we watch Dexter hunt down Simon coming down the back straightaway. Is he going to take a look on the inside of the chicane here? He does start to take a peek. He's got his car up to the side of Simon. They're going under braking now. And he gets very clear by him. Very easy pass for Dexter Castro. Makes short work of Simon as he slots himself up into 18th position now. So he's still got some work to do, but he is making progress. Let's head back up to the front. Where Jan Cummins still has a 10-second lead over João Freitas. João has not been able to make any inroads. At this point, I think they're going to just be waiting for a mistake as João goes very heavy into the chicane. It's an interesting line. I haven't seen that one used yet, but it seems pretty effective. Sam McAleer follows him through, continues to hold maybe less than a second behind him. Richard, I can't remember, who was your pick today?
My pick was, in fact, João Freitas, as we see Jan Cummins coming into the pits. Keep an eye on that one, Stefan. That's a fairly early pit stop, or maybe not. It's part of the pit window. I also noticed, Joe, that I've been watching him over the last few laps while he was mixing it up with the lap traffic. He was, in fact, blinking a couple of times. So we are hoping that he's in there. He blinks again. I'm hoping that his internet connection will hold up to the end of the race, Joe.
Yeah, that's always a bad way to go. Now, Richard, you're always talking about the attitude of the car and the way that a driver is, you know, driving the car through the course. What have you been observing as far as the way that Jan Cummins is doing it? Has he really been pushing, or has he seemed to have been taking it easy through this difficult and fiddly course?
No, he's doing it quite easy at the moment, Joe. He seems to be driving well within himself, rather than pushing. He was in amongst lap traffic, and I think he took a wise choice there to go into the pits and do a pit stop to get himself some clean air. He's come back out. He's and he's just cruising by the looks of it.
We're being told by one of our spotters, Jan actually employed that pit stop because he was getting stuck in the middle of Fuchs. Oh, and I'm sorry, we've got a wreck. Sam McAleer ran into Tori Tesla as he was trying to lap him through that little 180-degree corner. Tori was letting Yao Freitas by, and then I guess he wasn't aware that Sam was there and pulled right back in line in front of him, as you'll be able to see on the replay. So unfortunate. He might have gotten loose. Yeah, it could have been Tori that Tori got loose heading through that corner. But whatever the case, he just really cut right in front of Sam McAleer, and I'm sure Sam does not appreciate that damage. That's probably going to have given Guillermo Rato a bit of chance to catch up. No, in fact, he still hasn't caught up. He's dropped the second and third place position quite a bit, which is actually first and second now that Jan Koemans is pitted, Ayrton.
Yeah, Jan Koemans came out in 7th position now. Lost. And I'm hearing that Tori Tesla just spun in the S's as well. He was the driver who got contact with Sam McAleer. But as I was saying, Jan Koemans, he lost about 30 seconds through his pit stop from where he was before. So that's how we should estimate the positions gained and lost through this.
So bogey time of 30 seconds. It looks like he's got about 21 back from Yao Freitas right now, so that sounds pretty much correct. He's going to come back and get that 10 seconds back unless we get some more traffic going through these leaders. Well, in the meantime, let's see if we can find ourselves a battle and focus on that for a little while, because everyone is getting very spread out, which I find interesting with this being such a short circuit that nobody seems all that close together. Richard, have you observed anything exciting going out on the course?
No, not really, Joe. It is very much there are gaps between each and every driver at the moment. The best thing that I'm watching at the moment is Jan Koemans making up time on the guys in front of him.
And I see that Dexter Castro is putting the moves on Andre Hageheim, and I believe Andre has not made his pit stop yet. We'll have to confirm with Stefan there. But Dexter continuing to move his way up. He is now back up to 15th. We're 14 laps in, so we're just about at the halfway point. I'm thinking that he might be able to pull out a top 10 if he can keep out of trouble and continue to make his progress. I'm seeing we have no stop from Andre yet, so we are correct on that. I did see that Jim Boland has Benjamin Lanawet very close to him. That's for 13th and 14th. They're coming down the front straightaway right now, Ayrton.
Yeah, the battle for the lead is heating up. Jeff Freitas got stuck behind Jeremy Naylor as the lap car, and it allowed Sam McAleer to get right back on his bumper through those final chicanes, and he's right behind now. Considering his damage, he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, it seemed like he took a good thunk from Tori, but it doesn't seem to have hurt him too much. This isn't very much an aerodynamics course, and he's getting very close. In fact, he's less than a car length, backs off a little bit through that first corner as they come through. That's Yao Freitas and Sam McAleer. This is first and second, though these two have not pitted yet, and Jan Koemans has. He was the only car in front of them before the pit stops. We're on lap 16 right now, so we're absolutely past the halfway point. These guys are obviously running a longer strategy. Coming through the chicanes, looks like Sam's losing a little bit of time as he comes through there. In fact, now he's about 3 or 4 car lengths behind Yao Freitas as they come onto the back straightaway. Ayrton, I feel like that was probably going to be his best chance. He's going to gain a little bit up through the draft here, but he's dropped position a little bit.
Well, it could also be that Sam may not be confident he could beat Zhao. I do think Zhao is a little bit faster than Sam, and I think Sam's being smart, just trying to stay behind him, not lose time, and maybe he'll use Zhao as kind of a faster car to hang on to and just follow him around and maybe get a chance to compete with Jan as well.
And, a third place, a podium finish, is not going to be something to scoff at. I'm sure he's going to want to make up for last week's blown engine, where he was in contention for, I think it was a top 5 up until 2 laps to the end, which had to have been severely disappointing. But, yeah, he's doing pretty good right now, just kind of holding his position, not really making mistakes, trying to keep out of trouble, though, despite the best efforts of others. I see that Matthias Soini has retired due to contact with Benjamin Lanouette. And Rato had slight contact with someone under the bridge, Stefan is informing us. What happened there, Stefan?
He was trying to overtake Jeremy Naylor under the bridge, and Naylor just didn't go on the gas as quick as Rato, and he hit him in the back, and then Naylor spun around. Doesn't look to be much damage on Rato.
So,
well, guys, just let me break in here. Dexter Castro is now looming large in the mirrors of Benjamin Lanouette. He has made up enormous amounts of time on these guys, and it looks like there's a battle going on as they come down into the last corner. So we'll have a look at this for a little while and see if he can make an impression. Or what's... Benjamin Lanouette's into the pits, Joe.
Lanouette ducked away, and it surprised me at first because it looked like Dexter was braking way early or something, but that just is that weird pit entry once again. So another position for Dexter Castro as pit stops continue to cycle through. I believe that puts him up into 14th. Is that correct?
Sam McAleer into the pits.
All right, so pit stops are going off for the early guys, or for the guys up front. Yao Freitas, however, chooses to stay out, so he's running the long game here for sure. We're on lap 18 of this 30-lap race. We're getting down to the last third of it very soon here. This is going to promote Guillermo Rato up in a second, but he has yet to pit as well. Trevor Mack up in a third. Trevor's been doing a pretty good job. Richard, you mentioned him a little bit earlier. He's been kind of a non-entity. He hasn't really been close to anybody, but just quietly running his race, and I think probably going to be vying for a top 5 finish if he keeps this up.
That's correct, and he's just, as you say, been very steady, very consistent, as has Guillermo Rato and João Freitas. João Freitas now leading the race with Jan Koemans, by the looks of it, up into 6th place. One person we haven't spoken of for a little while is Richard Ekholm. I've been watching him for a little while there. His consistency has gone up, and he is currently sitting in 5th place, Joe. Even 4th now with the pit stop of Sam McAleer. So he'll be in 4th place right now.
Now, the timing might be off because of pit stops, but I'm looking here and I see Jari Ylimäinen was 29 seconds behind the leader last time by, and that was Yao Freitas. Now, I don't remember where Jari Ylimäinen was before pit stops, but once Yao pits, if it's a 30-second bogey, that could put Jari up in front of Yao Freitas.
Yeah, but I think Jan Koemans will have something to say about that. If 30 seconds is the pit stop, Jan Koemans currently 24 seconds behind the leader. That should put him back in 1st place against Joe.
Absolutely, but this could be a very fortuitous jump for Jari Ylimäinen, who might have gotten his strategy correct. I'm pretty sure he's pitted at this point. We'll have to get confirmation on that. Actually, no, he has not. He's just pitting now from what I'm seeing. Or, no, he just pitted recently because he's now down to 10th. So I'm sorry I gave the wrong information on that. But as it sits currently, since we haven't gone over it recently, let's run down the top 10. And first we have Yao Freitas with 9 seconds behind is Guillermo Rato in 2nd. Then we have Trevor Mack in 3rd. Richard Ekholm is currently scored in 4th. 5th is Jan Koemans. 6th is Chuck Johnson. 7th is Arcadius Tedderix. 8th is Sam McAleer. 9th is Marcus Lambert, and 10th is Joseph Arrow. A few of those guys have not pitted yet, so that's going to probably change in the near future as the pit window gets close to the end. We're on lap 20 right now, but that's how the top 10 stands. Yao Freitas has just been running a nice, quiet little race of his own. He's had a little bit of a battle with Sam McAleer earlier on, but thus far has just been doing pretty good. I'm getting word that McAleer is closing on Rato, and Rato might have some significant damage from his run-in. Ayrton, what's going on up there?
Yeah, earlier on, Rato did have some front-end damage, though. I don't think... oh, right, yeah, Mac. Oh, I thought you said McAleer. I got confused there. But yeah, Trevor Mack has done a really good job staying consistent, and Guillermo Rato and Trevor Mack both known for being a consistent driver, so he's doing a really good job right now.
I did say McAleer. I was incorrect. You're right. It's Trevor Mack that's gaining on him. So Trevor Mack doing a good job. He's only 2 seconds back from what I'm seeing last time by. Excellent drive from him. Excellent stuff. Richard Eklund, who the guy that we usually expect to be competing with Jan Koemans, and definitely has the speed, but just doesn't seem to have the consistency down yet. He seems to have been struggling every time we looked at him. He's currently in 4th and 20 seconds back from the leader, and is going to be... I actually don't think he's had his pit stop yet. What's the situation on that, Stefan?
He's shooting into pits right now, and Trevor Mack as well.
So Richard's going to get slotted down. That's going to bump Jan Koemans back up to 4th. He took a very early pit stop and has been working his way back up. He's currently 5 seconds behind Mack, who still has to make his pit stop. In fact, the top 3 all have yet to make their stops. So Jan Koeman is still looking very safe for the lead. He's got 23 seconds back from Jan Freitas. That's going to give him 7 seconds if our bogey time is correct. So he's lost a little bit of time since before the pit stops, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Jan Freitas to jump him, Ayrton.
Yeah, and actually Jan Koemans hasn't been able to get very lucky with the traffic. He is a little bit faster with his speed, but Jeff Freitas has been lucky and managed to get through traffic, people just moving out of his way, and I think that's because he's the leader, and when Jan Koemans is farther back in the field, people are like, oh, he must have damaged them, he might have gone and crashed, something like that, so they aren't as willing to give up position. And now João Freitas is heading into the pits now.
Now, we need to watch this pit stop because it's critical to see how long he sits in the pits there before Jan Koemans overtakes him. Although I believe 23 seconds is not enough to let him hang on to first place, Joe.
And Rato is also pitting, and apparently he had a slowdown on that last lap by. Where is Jan Koemans currently? He is coming across the start-finish line right now, so I don't think Yao is going to have any hope of jumping him at this point. In fact, there they go.
Bunch of guys in the pits at this point. I think that is Rato, and João Freitas just come out of the pits. As you see, Jan Koemans heading up the hill to the chicane there, so he's lost that first position. He's back in second now, and Jan Koemans trundling along in his normal first position, Joe.
And I'm seeing that Trevor Mack is definitely up to 5th at the moment. He's still behind Sam McAleer, but Sam, it looks like Sam McAleer lost out to Guilherme Rato in the pit stops because he's currently behind him, and Sam makes a mistake coming through the chicane.
Big skid there from Sam McAleer. He managed to catch it again, and he's back on track, but now he's under threat by the Trevor Mack. Trevor Mack is right on his tail right now, and they'll be battling for the position, which is 4th position, Joe.
And you saw in the replay that Sam McAleer was catching up to Rato and just lost control of it into that first bit of the chicane, and I'm surprised he didn't get a slowdown penalty. I thought I saw him go through. Apparently he did from what we're hearing, so that's why he lost so much time. But yeah, he's absolutely under threat from Trevor Mack. If Trevor can just stay in the draft, because I think Sam's probably faster, Trevor could maybe snipe him at the end of the race. He's only got 8 laps to go as they close up under braking in this final part of the course. This is going to be a boon for Trevor if he could slip himself up into 4th. I'm seeing information from our director says this is the battle of the Big Macs. I quite like that.
Yes, it is probably the best battle going on at the moment as they come down the front straight, with Trevor Max having Sam McAleer firmly in his sights, and they go up to turn 1, which is a very, very fast right-hander. Let's see what they can do there. It seems that Sam McAleer does have the speed to keep ahead at this point in time, but now they come into these chicanes, and let's see what happens here. Both of them charging through that chicane, but it seems Sam McAleer does still have the speed on Trevor Mack, Joe.
See, now all that we need is Trevor Mack to have an orange or a yellow car, and those two would be the Golden Arches.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see. Jan Koemans. Oh, wow. Jan Koemans has definitely lost some time under pit stops to João Freitas, because last time by, João Freitas was only 5 seconds back. I'm also getting word that Dexter Castro was up to 8th position last time by. So João Freitas has definitely made some inroads into Jan Koemans through strategy, but he's not close enough to make anything happen with only 6 laps left to go. I believe he's going to run out of time to be able to whittle that down. In the meantime, I see that Guilherme Rato doesn't have too much of a distance between him and Sam McAleer. I think, Ayrton, I think you were right that Guilherme had some damage that's slowing him down for Sam to be able to make up that time. I wouldn't be surprised if before the end we see him under threat from both Sam and Trevor Mack.
Well, you also got to remember that Sam McAleer also had some front-end damage. Both of them pretty much have the same kind of collision in the exact same corner, so Sam is running very good considering he had that hit. It looked very hard and it doesn't seem to have affected him that much.
So we're getting word that Rato and Sam are both running similar lap times at this point. They're actually, I'm seeing, it looks like that's Andre Hagheim that Sam McAleer is coming up to lap right now. Hopefully Andre will be able to move out of the way quickly for these two. But yeah, that seems to be the hot battle at the moment, as there's only 4 seconds between 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and I'm pretty sure every one of those guys are going to want to complete the podium at this race, Richard.
Yes, Jalfredis, who was my pick for the win, he has slipped back a further second, maybe 1.5 seconds on Jan Koemans. So I don't know whether in the laps remaining he has anything left to battle Jan Koemans with, Joe.
It's unfortunate that we're not seeing any hot battle for the lead, but maybe, you know, it ain't over till it's over. Jan Koemans still could make a mistake in these following laps. As we've seen, it's very, very easy to do so. But I have to give credit to Koemans because he's really, I haven't seen him have any slowdowns or anything. He seems to have learned his lesson from the Lime Rock chicane course, and you know, knocking on wood, I think he's finally getting a handle on these courses that really push the consistency of a driver.
Yeah, the only thing that bothers me about Koemans, Joe, is every little while you see his car blinking. And that, of course, is a symptom of an internet connection there. He blinks again, and he passes through heavy traffic at the moment. So I'm really worried about this blinking because that could kill his chances in this race, Joe.
And for those not familiar with iRacing, the internet connection is disappearing is sort of the equivalent of a mechanical failure or just an electronic failure, something that you really can't control, but it's, you know, the 5-cent part failing on your car. Now, let's see, I thought I saw a battle somewhere close down in the midfield there. I see Eric Garcia currently trying to lap Jeremy Naylor, and that's not really a battle. Ayrton, do you see anything interesting going on in the midfield or backfield?
Well, the closest thing I'm seeing is this battle that's been going on all race between Jim Boland and Chuck Johnson. Arkadiusz Tedovic has fallen back about 6 seconds from those two guys.
Yeah, and it looks like Chuck Johnson isn't terribly close to Jim at the moment, although Jim is definitely caught up to Marcus Lambert there. So looks like 9th, 10th, and 11th is still going to be under threat. And I'm getting word that Oscar Nieto has spun off of turn 1 and actually retired. What happened on the accident there? Did anybody catch that?
No, we didn't. But in the meantime, keep an eye, guys, on Trevor Mack and Sam McAleer. The distance between them is fairly consistent, but they are coming up to some slower traffic right now. I think this is possibly the best battle going at the moment, and it is for the 4th place, Joe.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on this. Jalfredis continuing to hold about a 7-second gap between himself and Koemans. But McAleer definitely, I mean, Trevor Mack has really been holding on to the back of that orange little MX-5. So I think that damage has been hurting Sam here. And Trevor, I have to give him credit for being able to hold on to Sam like that, utilizing the draft and just keeping the pressure on, piling the pressure on. That's really going to be important, I think, to be able to just make someone sweat bullets, force them into a mistake today, Ayrton.
Yeah, and Sam McAleer ran about half a second faster than Guilherme Rato that last lap, so the gap's about 2.5 seconds between those two. So I think there's a chance that McAleer and Mack may be able to catch Rato in these last few laps.
And Joe, it seems to me that McAleer is faster through the first half of the course. and Trevor Mack slightly faster through the second portion of the course, because he seems to close up around that last chicane quite significantly. But at the moment, you can see Sam McAleer running away from him as they go down the straightaway.
Yeah, oh, and I'm looking back, and I see Marcus Lambert has got Jim Boland quite close behind him as they come through turn 1 up into turn 2 here. And now Jim starts to drop back, unfortunately. So he was getting close for a second there, and now the battle is a bit neutered. I thought I heard an accident happening somewhere along the line. I don't know if anybody caught that, but until we figure out what that was, let's go through the top 10 one more time now that pit stops are through, and we've only got 2 laps left to go. Jan Koen's currently leading. Yao Freitas brings up second, 7 seconds back, and then way back there, Guilherme Rato is trying to hold on to third, 24 seconds back from the leader. Just 3 seconds back from him is Sam McAleer, and putting the pressure on in 5th, it's Trevor Mack. Then a little ways back, it's Richard Eklund trying to make good of the race after an early mistake. Yer Yanis is holding 3rd, who we haven't talked a whole lot about. And I'm getting word that Eric Garcia blew his motor into the chicane, so that was the noise that I heard earlier on. Dexter Castro holding a respectable 8th after starting way down with a no qualifying time. Marcus Lambert holds 9th position, and then rounding out the top 10, right behind Marcus, is Jim A. Boland, guys.
Yes, and I think we have to give the Hard Charger Award to Dexter Castro, because as you said, Joe, he started right near the end of the field, and he's moved up into 8th place now. So that is more than respectable. I would give that an award of some kind if I were the organizer of this race, Joe.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what Dexter could have achieved had he not had to work his way through the field, because his pace obviously merits this top 10. I have to imagine that maybe he would have been fighting for the top 5. But let's check back to that battle for 3rd place, see how that's going. Guilherme Rato's got a bit of a distance between him and Sam currently, but Sam has still got Trevor Mack just right behind him, and not really has been able to do anything threatened for that 4th position, though, Ayrton.
Yeah, all 3 cars seem to make small mistakes in that previous lap, because they're about a second and a half off the lap.
Trevor Mack goes wide, very wide, Trevor Mack, so he's lost out there to Sam McAleer big time, Joe.
It just goes to show how on the point you got to be throughout the entire race. In the meantime, well, we missed that Boland had passed Lambert, and that was for 9th position. So Marcus is now.
And there's a
under
car
threat from
sitting
Chuck
on
Johnson.
the track just in front, Trevor, well, behind them now. I'll find out who that was. Tory Tesla it was. He was stuck in the middle of the track, and both Sam McAleer and Trevor Mack had to take evasive action to get past him.
Well, Jan Koemans is currently getting the white flag as he comes to lap 30 right now, and with a 6-second lead over Yao Freitas, it looks like he's got not much to worry about as Yao goes and laps the car of Jeremy Naylor. But still a solid 2nd place for Yao, and this is going to definitely help him with Amjed's early difficulties and being out of the race. In fact, I'm seeing Amjed is going to finish in 27th after this is all over. So good job on Jan Koemans as he comes through the chicane right now. He has really been, as you keep saying, Richard, he's been the class of the field. He's proving himself to continue to improve. He's a guy that's not sitting down on his laurels. You know, he looks at his weak points, and it seems like he's been able to capitalize on it. He wasn't good in battles earlier on in the season, and later on he was able to defend pretty well. He wasn't good at keeping consistent on tracks that are difficult with consistency, and now we see him improving on that as he comes into the chicane, finishing up the lap here. And just a few more corners, and he's going to take home, what is this, Ayrton, win number 8 this season for him?
7, I believe.
Win number 7.
So,
well, look, Joe, I've said it a number of times, he is the consummate driver. He can put pressure on when he needs to. He can lead very, very well from the front as he goes over the start-finish line, celebrates with a huge spin, and why shouldn't he? He's got another win under his belt, Joe.
Meanwhile, Yao Freitas definitely comes home in second. Guillermo Rato coming up on some lap traffic, but that's not going to hurt him too much. Guillermo Rato is going to take home third, it looks like, as he comes across the line. Sam McAleer has been able to hold off Trevor Mack, so Sam keeps fourth, and Trevor Mack comes home with a very respectable fifth.
And not far behind them, we have Richard Ekholm coming up to the start-finish now. He will be followed by Yanis, who is also coming to the start-finish now to join the celebrations. Dexter Castro. I take my hat off to you, Dexter. An excellent drive to come from way, way back into 8th place. Joe?
And Jim Boland is coming home in 9th. But Chuck Johnson, good on him. He slipped into the top 10 on the very last lap and overtook Marcus Lambert, who I'm seeing going quite slow. I'm not sure what happened there. And Marcus is coming around now. He's going to grab 11th spot with Arcadius Tedrix bringing home in 12th.
And they are followed by, I thought Joseph Aero, but Joseph Aero has disappeared from the screen. Benjamin Lanowet is coming through the last chicane now, and he will finish in 14th place, I believe. And Andre Hegheim will round out the top 15, Joe.
I'm getting word that Marcus Lambert actually ran out of fuel, and Benjamin Lanowet is coming into the pits on this last lap I'm seeing. Oh, I'm sorry, he was a lap down, so he's already done. Well, music is playing, so I'm going to wrap this up, and we'll go to break. We'll come back with some interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to the Blondies MX5 World Tour. We just watched round 12 where Jan Koemans won another one, but just behind him in second, finishing on the second step of the podium, is João Freitas. João, are you happy with second? Did you think you could do any more than that?
Yes, I don't know if I could win, but I think I could have a nice battle with Jan Koemans, at least if I qualified a little bit better. But I'm happy with second. It's good for the championship.
Yeah, as far as your race went, it seemed like it was fairly uneventful. You had some early battles with guys like Sam McAleer, but it was mostly a cruise for you, it seemed.
Yes, I knew if I wanted to catch Jan Koemans, I would have to push a lot in the beginning to overtake as much cars as I could. And after that, Sam made a mistake. I think it was in the pits, so there was no more fights for me.
Now, I don't know if you were aware, but Amjad Yaman ran into some early troubles with his hardware, which meant he was out very early on. And this should actually bump you up to second in the championship. Do you fancy you can hold on to that until it's all said and done?
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Amjad. I would like to fight with him for the championship, like to the last race, but unfortunately he had bad luck. But yeah, I think if I keep my ahead of Guilherme Rato, I think I'm cool.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank or people you'd like to shout out to?
No sponsors, but a shout out to Blondies, the sponsor, for making this possible.
Thanks for talking to us, João.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm sorry, I just had a brief technical problem there. Well, Ayrton, the winner of today, as is usually the case, is Jan Koemans. Would you like to have a few words with him?
Yep, sure thing. If we can get him into this channel. Jan Koemans, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ayrton.
Congratulations on your 7th win of the season. A great job by you. Did you have any doubt, or did you believe that you had the pace to keep in front?
Yeah, after the first couple of laps, I had quite a gap already because I think Sam had some issues, and then the guys behind him fell behind pretty quickly until João got to the front of them, and then he was pretty quick, I think. Just I came into a lot of lap traffic, somewhere like 3/4 through the first stint, so I decided to just come in and get some fuel, because then at least the traffic would be faster than those guys, because it was really hard to pass here. It's a very narrow track, and even if the people were trying to give you space, it's just, yeah, you were losing seconds. So that didn't work out too well, but in the end, yeah, not too difficult.
Oh yeah, a good job, and you were very fast. Managed to stay a little bit more consistent than we were comparing this track to Limerick Chicane, where you had a few slowdown penalties, which cost you the win. But we have 2 races left of the season, and your gap has just been getting larger and larger over the guys fighting for second. For these last 2 races, do you think that you're just gonna cruise it, try to stay out of trouble, or do you think you're gonna try to get 2 more wins to finish off the season?
Well, I always try to get the winners. I don't. I'll have to see how my pace is on the other tracks. Maybe I'll try something for fun, like start from the pit lane or something. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna win because the guys are too fast now, but at least it'll give me some wheel-to-wheel action. So, yeah, I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
Okay, yeah. Well, congrats again. And do you have any sponsors or anyone to thank?
Well, as always, thanks to Blondie's Bar for making this all possible. It's a lot of fun being in this league. Thanks to Bill as well for doing all the hard work and making all the JPEGs with the stamping and stuff. So yeah, thanks guys.
Okay, thanks for talking to us, and I'll hand it back to Joe now.
All right, one of the stories of the race was Sam McAleer. Let's bring him into here and have a little chat. Sam, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sam, it seems like the last couple races have just been a bit of disappointment for you. You were just shy of the podium, even though you were fighting for it for most of the race. Are you happy with fourth, or did you want to be a little higher up?
Yeah, I wanted to be a bit higher up, but I made a mistake a few times. I got into some contact with a lapped car on one of the turns, and I ended up taking too much fuel, so I ended up quite far back, much further back than I wanted to be. And then I was catching up with Rato on the last 5 or 6 laps, and I just made a mistake going through the chicane bit and ended up on the grass. So, not what I was looking for, but I suppose I'm pretty happy with it.
Now, I did see your incident with, I believe it was Tori Tesla earlier on the race. What exactly happened? Did he not see you when he came back in, or did he lose control of the car?
I think he only saw, I think it was Jal in front of me, and then he just pulled back onto the racing line, not knowing that I was still there. And then I didn't realise he was going to do that, or else I would have slowed down a bit more, but I just wanted to try and stick behind Jal so I wouldn't lose the draft.
All right, well, hopefully we'll get you up on the podium in one of these remaining races. Is there any sponsors you'd like to thank, or shout-outs you'd like to make?
Just Blondie's bar for making this possible and funding it all, so thank you.
Thanks for talking to us.
No problem, speak to you later.
All right, well, Richard, another one that you said that you had your hat off to was Dexter Castro. Had a hell of a charge. Would you like to talk to him?
Certainly would, Joe. Let's bring him in. Dexter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Dexter, congratulations on that hard charge, mate. I was saying during the broadcast that if there was a hard charger award to be given out, then you would win it hands down for this race, and I think the previous race as well. I'm a little mystified by your tactics there from starting at the back. Tell us about that. Why do you start at the back when, if you qualified, I'm pretty sure you could make it onto the podium?
Well, actually, I didn't get a clean lap in this week. Last week I was late and missed qualifying, but this week I just couldn't get a clean lap in.
That's unfortunate because, you know, you were steady throughout the race. You were making virtually every lap you were overtaking guys. So a very, very good race you ran there, and I'm most impressed by that. Hopefully we'll see you on that podium before the series finishes, Dexter.
Yeah, hopefully. Summit Point's always been a good track for me, so hopefully that goes well.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to us, my friend. Do you have any shout-outs you want to make?
Not really. I'm kind of going it alone in this series, so but always thanks to my team, 49 Motorsports. They're always helpful, even if I'm the only one in this series.
All right, Dexter. Well, thanks for talking to us, and good luck for the remaining 2 races.
Yep, see you guys again.
Okay, back to you, Joe.
We've got one more person we want to talk to real quick before we wrap it up here. Ayrton, would you like to speak to Marcus Lambert?
Yep. Marcus, can you hear me? Marcus?
Deadly silence. Doesn't look as if Marcus is there.
He's so stunned to talk to us.
Marcus.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I think we've got to wrap it up here. So unless we hear something from Marcus real quick, let's give some shout-outs and thank yous of our own. We want to thank Blondies Bar in Long Beach. They're the official sponsor of the MX5 World Tour. You can find them out in California at Long Beach. We also want to thank the makers of the various hardware and software we use on this stream: iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, AverMedia, and Audio Technica. If you'd like to find out more about the Global Sim Racing channel, you can check us out at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, where we also have archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at @GSRchannel. Not.com, just at GSR Channel. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Our next broadcast will be at 2 p.m., and that's next weekend at Summit Points Short Course. Also, be sure to check us out next week with the CESES, the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, which will also be that day. But until then, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.